Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls, episode 19. I like to move it, sparking a rapid explosion of the decentralized entertainment industry. This podcast, this compilation of 4 episodes, are 2 from season 8 and 2 from season 7. This podcast episode, first off, the first interview is from season 8. It was from May of 26 of 2025. I spoke with the founder of Lineage and the Digital Spenders Club. His name is Anthony Rodriguez. We had an absolutely amazing conversation about helping brands take control of their narratives through fandom-driven experiences. Second was from about a year prior, was from season 7. I spoke with Zach Bruch, who is the founder and CEO of MyPrize. And we spoke about creating an online casino at the crossroads of crypto and culture. The next episode was also from May 2024. It was about a week prior to Consensus in 2024. I spoke with 2 amazing creators, Chris Waters, who was the CPO at Playground Productions, and Neil Berkeley, who was an Emmy-nominated filmmaker. And we spoke about the new film Shark Pickle Cone, which is a documentary which debuted on May 29th, 2024 at Consensus. We spoke all about that documentary, and check it out. And last but not least, I spoke with in June 2025 during season 8. I spoke with Stacy Spikes, who is the founder of MoviePass and Mogul by MoviePass. And we spoke about creating the first Web3 fantasy league for movie fans. That was a thoroughly enjoyable conversation. So those 4 make up this episode, this 19th episode of the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls, entitled I Like to Move It, sparking a rapid explosion of the decentralized entertainment industry. Check it out. Enjoy. As always, the episodes are available on Spotify, Apple, anywhere really you listen to your favorite crypto hipster podcasts. Enjoy this compilation and enjoy the full episodes. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. And branding. You think it's important to continuously involve the brand and consumer relationship, and for consumers to understand, this space, what's important for them, right? Why is that important? And then what role does blockchain have to play that they might not know about at all?
Well, I think in general, the advertising business has been broken a long time, right? You had the rise of Silicon Valley and social media. And once Silicon Valley and social media needed to get an efficient return on investment from the ad agency world, you had Silicon Valley kind of clash with Madison Avenue, right? And the result of that was programmatic ad platforms and pretty much an all-out assault on figuring out how to datafy and numberify, those are both made-up words, the ad space, right? The resonance and sentiment to a great extent have taken a step back. The Don Draper Mad Men days, where you go in and you kind of meet the Sherpa of your brand, who's going to give you the magic, it's toasted, right? Lucky Strike tagline, and that's going to change your life. That's evolved tremendously. And in that evolution, that process, which I lived through, the relationship between most customers and brands is one of a stalker and the stalked, right? You use data to get in front of them. You bug them as much as you can. They make some rules. They change it. Now you got to stalk a little differently. You can't use a telescope. You got to use you got to use binoculars, whatever it might be. But it's this constant it's not a very the relationship isn't in a flow state. There's a constant rub, right? And even today, where you go on any brand's website and you have to hit accept or reject, and you're signing a contract to get in there. These are all ways that we've created a hard, rough relationship between customers and brands. But there's no doubt in my mind that customers today want to be fans of the things they consume. They want to have a value-driven connection. They want to love those things the same way as I love the LA Lakers, or, you know, I don't know if you're a Yankees fan in Connecticut, but, you know, you love your favorite team, you love your favorite artist, your musician, your street artist. It's the same thing that's happening now. It's the consumer expectation today between them and their favorite brands. It'll be like a fan brand. So my hope, and what we're doing at Digital Spenders Club, is we're issuing digital spenders cards, which are these EVM single address wallets made by Burner, and we're putting those in the hands of every single member. And we're using our platform to experiment and to change the way a member club relationship or a consumer brand relationship could work. I think the wallet is something that's amazing. You know, I'm a member of a memberships club. I won't say who it is, so I can stay a member of them. But usually that membership only gives me the privilege of paying dues at the end of the next year. For the following year, for the privilege of going in and having bad service and eating bad food, right? I've been a member for over 9 years, and there's no retained asset value in that membership. You know, if I don't want to be a member, if I move to Timbuktu and I can't go to my local, you know, club anymore, and you move to my town, I can't say, hey, I want to sell you my membership. And guess what goes with that membership? 9 years of investment, 9 years of relationship, 9 years of consumption, all of that time I invested there. It's a non-transferable ownership for the most part, that relationship between brand and consumer. Well, we could change that with a wallet. We could change that with a transparent ledger. And we can also say, hey, you can tell me what you want me to know, what you don't want me to know about you. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide benefits and I'm going to provide brand value to the wallet based on what you're doing and based on your activity directly, rather than you know, having this stalker relationship. So I think Web3, crypto, blockchain, whatever you want to call it, is going to massively change the way that relationship works. And that's really one of the things that the Digital Spenders Club we're super focused on, is like how can we use Web3 to change that relationship, but also make it a better relationship for both consumer and brand.
I want to go back to say, you say, talk about having fun. You were early in the NFTs back in 2021 or maybe prior. Most others joined in 2022, caught the middle and the tail end of the hype. You are now early to the GambleFi sector. You know, what do you see as a trajectory for both GambleFi and GameFi, including trends and projections and pressing challenges?
So I think if you look at the broader crypto space right now and what's exciting and what's engaging, it's very telling to see and understand, you know, where mindshare is. And so you have this entire meme coin craze that's just been going crazy. It's been going crazy. And why has that been happening? It's because you literally have communities rallying around an idea and speculating together. And that's exciting. And retail can participate, right? It's every man for themselves or every woman for themselves, right? They're there right from the beginning. They can participate. They rally around their favorite creators who are sharing some of these ideas with them, and they're going and speculating on various different meme coins. You saw the same thing happen years ago with the Wall Street Bets movement. And funny enough, just the other day, you see Roaring Kitty come back online, and you see GameStop go bananas just by the notion that Roaring Kitty tweets for the first time. So this concept that community wants to do things together and participate together is very telling. Because when you think about GameFi and you think about GambleFi, that is the gamification, right? GambleFi, gambling finance, GameFi, gaming finance. It's gamification of these types of things. And so when I'm thinking about GambleFi and as it relates to MyPrize, MyPrize is a centralized business. Of course, we're an online crypto casino. We accept crypto and users can withdraw crypto. Over time, we'll help build out a much larger decentralized GambleFi ecosystem where developers will be able to build all sorts of different types of dApps, and we will help push our users to go and explore a much broader crypto experience on their own, right? Without our involvement in any capacity, because it's a decentralized business, decentralized applications. And what you will see grow from that is all sorts of applications which already exist today, right? Speculative apps, dexes, various things like that. But the user base came into the ecosystem with the mindset already that they want to come and speculate, or they want to gamble, or they want to take a risk, right? The users that MyPrize onboards are users that want to gamble, right? That's why they're there, or they want to play games, or they want to play games with community. It really is the best user. A user that goes on to Coinbase, as an example, is going on to buy Bitcoin, it's going on to buy ETH. They could be buying that for all sorts of different types of reasons, right? So that user, if they can then get pushed to Gamblify or GameFi, it might not be a user. That user might not want to go play, a racing game that is leveraging blockchain in some capacity or some token in some way. Or that user might not be the best user for a decentralized poker game, right? But the users that are onboarded via MyPrize are very curated and very specific users that want to go have fun, engage with their friends, and do so while they're playing games. And so you are able to onboard users via a product like gambling, like gaming, that has had a true product market fit for thousands of years into a much broader crypto environment. And I think that's what's so exciting. So I believe we're going to see significant growth in this sector, and we're going to see a lot more talent building in these sectors as more and more people are exposed into broader crypto markets.
I'm looking forward to consensus next week. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
It was a year ago, I had a conversation with someone. We talked about rebooting Hollywood, right? Because Hollywood still is this kind of like ivory tower corporate kind of environment, right? How do you gentlemen feel that the DAO structure can make an impact and effect on maybe possibly rebooting Hollywood and going back to the days of the independence and getting the independent creators notoriety, and leveling that juggernaut?
I think it still needs some form of decentralized distribution. Right now, YouTube is the closest version of that, I think. But it's not blockchain based. It's not, but as far as like being able to put something out there without the guardrails or the gatekeepers of the typical system, funding, I think DAOs and crypto can help immensely. I think marketing, it can help immensely, but there's still not any way for someone to make something and then put it somewhere that it can immediately be everywhere. I think that's the next step, is some sort of way to, like, the example right now would be if I could put my film up somewhere and it's on Netflix, Hulu, Disney, YouTube, it goes everywhere, or it just is delivered to your desktop or your phone. That still doesn't exist. There's still those walled gardens everywhere. That I think would be the next big step.
Yeah, but in terms of rebooting some of the things that are challenging with Hollywood, I think what Hollywood has proven it does really well is like big tentpole blockbuster, $200 million movies that are very, very broad, have general audiences. Where I think the squeeze has been is in lower budget indie films, documentaries. And, a lot of people have turned to things like Kickstarter or Patreon to get their things funded. And I think Web3 presents a real opportunity for niche communities and smaller communities to get behind things that they really believe in. And I think naturally, those things are going to have to find their audience. That's a challenge in traditional as well as in digital content. How do you find an audience? And I think part of that's going to be on filmmakers to say, hey, if you get funded for this, you also have to now really put your marketing cap on and think about how are you going to get this thing seen, and how are you going to get people aware of it, and how are you going to monetize it? And so we're early days in that process, but we're working with Zora and Bonfire to create ways that super fans can mint the film and then get behind the scenes access to, we have hundreds of hours of interviews, and we have tons of behind the scenes footage, stuff that just can't make a 65-minute film. So super fans will be able to get access to all of that, unlock all of that, and watch the film on, their phone or cast it to their TV. We're also launching the film on X, which, in terms of reach, has global reach. But the exciting thing for me is when you put a film on the blockchain, it can be seen anywhere all across the world. There's no firewalls. There's nothing that can stop people from seeing that film. And so that's what I hope. I hope this really opens up an avenue for filmmakers like Neil, for indie filmmakers that have communities that can then find novel ways to get their films out and funded.
Let's talk about your new launch.
Yeah.
It's called Mogul, right?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
Mogul all about, and how are you transforming the film industry experience?
So when we are constantly trying to reimagine the space, we look at fandom and people who really have done it right. And one of the places that I think we learn a lot from is what sports have done. And if you're familiar with fantasy sports or daily fantasy sports leagues, what they've done is they not only increase engagement among those members, but they overall expand the pie of how people can engage in a game. And it's not just you watch it. There's a way you can wager, you can create your fantasy league, you can compete against your friends about who knows what and who's more intelligent about who's going to score and how. And what we realize is you can do the same thing with the movie industry, and no one had launched anything like it. So we said let's introduce the first fantasy league for Hollywood. And in that, you will be a studio head. You're going to be able to pick your movies. You're going to be able to pick your actors and your directors. And you're competing against your friends and against the leaderboard and how well you can accurately predict the outcome of events. And so that's basically what we're bringing. And we think it's going to drive fandom in a lot of ways. So I'll give you an example. Um, when the Taylor Swift concert film was coming, the previous film that had been in that category that had grossed the most was the Justin Bieber concert film. Well, the question becomes, can the Swifties outdo the Biebs? And so when you think about it, they're like, well, can we become the highest grossing concert film in history? So they did that. 2 or 3 months later, here comes Beyonce. So can the Beehive outperform the Swifties? And can they become the biggest concert film, right? And so these are examples of not only can you the knowledge of, if I'm a fantasy studio head, do I think that the Beehive is going to beat the Swifties, and can I calculate that, and do I know what the spread's going to be? Well, that's the excitement that we kind of bring to the space by creating a fantasy league that allows people to be not just movie watchers and goers, but now you can actually play in the outcome of what happens.
So your metrics that you're looking at obviously are the returns of the box office.
So we're looking
What
at box office, we're looking at per screen average, and you're looking at things like the sentiment score, your Rotten Tomatoes or your IMDb, and how well you can predict the outcome on titles around some of those factors. And then during awards season, how well can you predict who's going to win the Oscars, or who's going to win the Golden Globes or the Independent Spirit Awards. All of those things will be things you'll be able to play as well.
I used to do well in those when I watched all the movies. I used to do well in the Oscars. I would always get it right.
There's a word in there I used to.
I have kids.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I would love to take the kids with me to the movies, but they wanted to spend time with their friends. How do you motivate people who have no time?
Well, there's a curve that we know in the industry. So when you're a teenager, you go to the movies, and then right around the time you get married and have kids, you fall off a cliff. And then you kind of become a streaming customer. And then whether it's streaming or HBO or television in general. And then as you ramp back up, what happens is those parents, when the kids are older, the kids come back on, and then the parents, when the kids have left the house, then you'll see the parents come back on. So there's a U curve in the behavior of how people go to the movies. And a lot of people don't realize that we compare streaming to cinema. Well, it's kind of like comparing listening to an album and making it the same as going to the concert. And they're very different things.